With that, we wanted to kind of start the session off with, the first session off with kind of what are some of NAMFS initiatives, some of the things that we're doing, kind of give you guys some feedback on what we're seeing as results, and then also take some time for some questions. Obviously, those questions kind of laser focused in on initiatives. We do have a session tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., which we'll expect to see everybody here. And that's where it's kind of an open forum. And you'll have a few more members of the board that'll be on that panel as well. And if you ask a question that we feel is better suited for tomorrow, we're going to ask you to hold that question until tomorrow. So with that, I'd like to introduce our president, Chad Rouleau from First Rate Field Services.
Great afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Frisco. Thanks for the introduction.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Right? Getting kind of excited?
Yeah, I'm excited.
We're going to have fun this week. That's it. Period. We're going to have a lot of fun. Again, there's a couple people or a couple groups that I'd like to thank. First, I want to thank all of you, our members and attendees. Without you, we don't exist. We don't have a value proposition, right? And so thank you for your continued membership. Thanks for attending the conference. I know what kind of lift it is. I got 4 of us here from First Rate. I know what that takes. And so I'm very, very appreciative of all of you showing up, engaging, collaborating, and listening to what we have to say. We have a lot of exciting things going on at NAMFS, which we're going to get into here in a few minutes. Right, Eric?
Absolutely.
All right. Secondly, I want to say thank you to the conference committee, specifically, and to Nikki. Nikki, I'm calling you out right here for her incredible leadership and getting all this together. It's a big lift. It is not a paid position. Everything we do here is volunteer work in terms of that committee. And so thank you all so much for putting this together and making it happen. And of course, Eric, thank you for your leadership across all of NAMFS and the committees. We definitely appreciate that. All right, so name of the conference, Alignment in Action. And that's what we've been working on. I'm going to get into some statistics. We got some chairs coming in. Perfect timing, gentlemen. Thank you. But I got some statistics to share more towards the end. Really, the purpose of this session right now, I just want to talk about our structure. So for those of you that might have missed the session, our opening session last year, because it was at 9 a.m. By the way, they got Advil, Aleve, whatever you need up there at the front desk. I want to see everybody here at 9 a.m., okay? But for those of you that missed it, I just want to talk a little bit about our structure. Then I'm going to talk about what we've done since I was elected president of NAMFS just over a year ago, right, roughly? Coming up on 2 years this fall, right? But some of the things that we took the baton from Matt, is somewhere, Matt. Is Matt in here? No? Okay. Is he in a meeting? Okay. But Matt and the incredible work that he's done for so many years with NAMFS, we kind of took that baton and we ran with it, right? And just kept building. So, Eric, if we could jump into the next slide, please. We're going to talk a little bit about structure. Very good. All right. Keeping aligned, understanding our structure. Wrong slide. There we go. Oh, are we getting a little excited on the button, Walter? That's okay. That's okay. No problem. No, that's great. So, keeping aligned, understanding our structure. So, at the beginning, the first thing I talked about and I thanked was our membership. Because without our member, that is exactly who we as a board, who Eric as executive director, the committees, that's who we work for. We work for you, right? Everything that we do is about bringing value to our membership. So, membership is number 1, right? Number 2, we have the board of directors. Many board of directors, you can hop onto our website, see the breakout. It's broken up into different groups, national, regional, super regional, et cetera, and kind of how that works. And then we have our wonderful committees that are tasked with very specific groups of items. And then we have an executive team. And the executive team, we meet once a month, actually before the board meeting. And that's where we talk about, hey, are we advancing in our initiatives? Do we have the right focus? Are things moving? Are things not moving? What's engagement look like, et cetera, right? And so super, super important. So over the past almost 2 years this fall, we made a concentrated effort to say, okay, the very first thing that we can do for you as our members is to create value. And how do you create value? Well, number one, you have to realize what type of value you can create. We can't commit to you things that we cannot do. There are things in our industry that we can't control. We have no say in, right? And so we have to level set with ourselves and say, okay, here's what we can actually do. This is what we can achieve. Then once we figure that out, we say, okay, what are all these things? Now we need to focus it. We need to focus it into our committees and say, all right, let's pick 3 things, 4 things, and that's what we're going to go after, right? And what that's led to, and again, we'll get into the stat sheet here in a minute, is really the best way that NAMFS can create value, and that's through visibility. Our voice, one voice for the industry, being visible, hyper visible, all the time surrounding the issues, right? We're not here to tell you how to run your business. We're not here to tell a servicer how to run their accounts. That's not our purpose. Our purpose is to bring visibility to the issues and the challenges that we all face day in, day out, whether you're out in the field, whether you're working in an office, whether you're in a tech platform, whatever you're working through. The best thing that we can do for you is to figure out and listen to what those issues are and bring visibility along with potential solutions for those things. And we've done just that. Next slide, please. So, I want to talk through our 4 committees, all of which are very, very important, and all the things that they've accomplished, or a few of the things that they've accomplished over the last year. We call it Alignment in Action. That's the name of the conference, see? Focus priorities equal real impact. And that's true. Once you focus your priorities, you can actually have a real impact, and that's what we've done. We have hyper-focused them. So first, let's talk about pricing, the $1 million elephant, or the $1 million elephant in the room, right? Everybody, pricing, we all understand, we all go through it. Pricing in this industry is a challenge, or across our industries, multiple industries. It's a challenge. And we recognize that. It's a very important challenge, right? NAMFS has the ability, again, to bring visibility, to bring analysis, assessment, and take that and say, hey, this is where it's wrong, this is what we recommend, and that's what our pricing committee has done. They look at quarterly updates on price changes compared to allowables. We get that information from a bunch of different tech providers, and we analyze that against survey data that we collect from you, other data that we collect from companies that are out there working. They might not complete the survey, but say, hey, this is what the allowable that I'm getting, or what have you. We're able to compile all that and say, hey, we're missing the mark here. This isn't good. Or this looks okay. I can tell you a lot of it is we're missing the mark here. This isn't good, right? And so what the pricing committee's done is they have drafted a communication that was signed off by the board that would go out for publication to highlight the issue, to bring visibility. What that doesn't mean is that pricing's changing tomorrow. We all know that. We've been in this business, I think a lot of us, for a very, very long time. A lot of the pricing hasn't changed in, well, my lifetime. So, isn't that interesting? So we understand that. But again, we're not in control of being able to say, no, you have to increase your pricing. That's not a controllable for NAMFS. What we are in control of is bringing the visibility, and that's what the pricing committee has been doing and will continue to do, and have those conversations. So when the time is right, we're already in front of it, and we're staying relevant in that conversation. I know that's not what everybody wants to hear. I respect that. It's okay. It's not what I want to hear either, I promise. But that's literally the best that NAMFS has to offer, and we will champion that cause forever, always. Very, very important. The other thing is working on a petition that provides some guidance in terms of price increases, but also in terms of regular price reviews, right? It does no good if we have a price increase one time, and then it doesn't increase for 20 years. That's not how the world works, right? It's constantly evolving, whether there's a conflict or an election that has consequences, whatever the case might be, things happen, right? Areas shut down, or labor, there's a shortage in lumber, or whatever it might be. It's constantly evolving, and so it takes us to constantly be on top of it, providing that information and highlighting it, and again, staying relevant in that conversation. So although Matt is not in here, I did want to say, Matt with Verisk, thank you for your leadership on the pricing, and thank you to the pricing committee for all your hard work. It's a very difficult conversation, and it's a very difficult task. So thank you all for taking that on. We appreciate you.
Yeah, if I just can add, the other thing that committee is starting to look at is we've had conversations with other associations that have had success, better understanding those types of solutions. And so that's kind of where some of these ideas about drafting a position. In fact, Chad and I had conversation earlier this month about the possibility of engaging with some other trade associations as well directly. And one of the things that's interesting is being able to maybe partner up with them on days of advocacy when they actually go up to the Hill. So spending some time in DC. It obviously is minimal. Anyone who's gone to DC and gone through a day of advocacy, you realize you're in there for 5 minutes and then they shuffle you through. But the reality is, to Chad's point, it's something that we see as a great visibility and keeping our name there so that, again, we can kind of make headway there and also make connections so that we can possibly have further conversations with FHFA, those types of entities. So we're looking at how we can expand it, not just directly to individuals who maybe how we started, we directly work with, right? For those of you who are familiar with Fannie Mae, right? I mean, it was conversations with Jake Williamson and Kimberly Dawson. Those people have kind of elevated themselves, and they're now not in those roles that they're there. But again, that gives us an opportunity, but we would like to kind of get to the top of the house and then have it come down. So,
absolutely. Thank you, Eric. Next up is marketing, and that's led by Kelly Chambers from G7. Kelly, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but come on. There we go. Very good. Oh, whoa, that's exciting. They got insurance here, Walter? Okay, we're just making sure. We're very well versed in the insurance business, aren't we, group? So anyway, the marketing committee, and let me tell you, the work there has been incredible. So we recognize as an association that really just through life, the reality of our industry, or the industry that is mortgage field services, and what we've experienced over the past few years, a lot of us had to diversify, right? Which is a great thing. And so through that diversification, also, NAMFS needed to diversify. And the way that we market ourselves through our logo, our name, our tagline, all of which is New Thank You Marketing Group, encompasses more of what we all do, but also extends our reach to bring on even more membership. Because at the end of the day, again, one voice for these industries, right? And the bigger, louder our voice is, the more effective that we are and that we can be. And so we launched a big push, a lot of feedback. It was a really fun process of different logos and names and some legal stuff we had to go through with the names and all that good stuff. But ultimately, because we wanted to expand our reach, right? Have a bigger tent, bring more folks in, but also speak to what a lot of us have had to do over the last few years in terms of our diversification. So that's been great. Updating the website, created a TikTok account with short videos. Eric, did you think you'd be on TikTok? Think about it.
I can tell you my kids are excited about it.
Your kids are excited about it.
Me?
Yeah, because you're going
not so
viral,
much.
Dad.
Exactly.
There you go, exactly. So, but created a TikTok account, increased presence on LinkedIn, and a huge one, which has been an incredible lift, introduced podcasts. So NAMFS podcast, which a lot of you I see out here and I've talked to as we've been walking around have been on the podcast, and I'm so appreciative of that. And I say, hey, go hit up Kelly or designate Kelly if you, whoever, but talk to Kelly if you're interested in being on one of the podcasts. It's such a great engagement tool. It's a great way for us to push out information, education, all that good stuff. And so between Kelly and Eric and everybody that's been involved with splicing the videos and having to use some AI to get the videos generated, whatever. It's been a big lift, but it's been very successful, very, very popular in terms of boosting our engagement and numbers. So that's really, really incredible. So again, Kelly, marketing group, thank you so much for all your incredible work. Seriously, you all rock.
That, if he's here, Lawrence, raise your hand. Lawrence Espino, he was our last podcast. By far the most viewed of all of our podcasts.
There we go,
So
Lawrence.
there we go.
Yeah. Absolutely. Mindy, I want him on one of ours. Okay. Oh, that's awesome. Very good. Very good. All right. Let's move on into a very, very, very serious and important topic. Not that the others aren't, but very serious and important topic of safety. So NAMFS, we had decided that, obviously we've always known safety is very important. It's something that we've talked about at just about every single conference and in all of our conversations. But we really wanted to apply an additional focus into the arena of safety. For all of you that go out into the field, it's paramount. It can be. I was talking with Tristan from Genstone. I was out in the field a couple weeks ago, not to do too many war stories. I know we talked about it, Eric. But, somebody came up behind me and I was like, whoa, you shouldn't have done that because that could have been dangerous for you. My response isn't great whenever I get snuck up on. And so, but it's a very real thing. It's a very real thing that we all face every single day. A very real thing that our partners in the field face every single day. And so to Brandon, where are you? There we go. Brandon is leading our safety committee. Thank you all for providing focus to it and getting after it. And a couple things that they've started to do. One, launched a new comprehensive survey. And when I say launched, I mean they catapult launched this sucker super far. It's been probably one of our most interacted with surveys of all time. Am I safe to say that? In all time. And it's on some of the tech platforms already. I think some to come, some of the tech platforms, but a lot of people have been engaging with it, which is incredible because that gives us all information on tools, resources, things that we can do as an association or an organization that we can then provide out to all of you, our members, and the community at large. And so it's been really, really awesome. The other thing is it's driving the development of a live webinar series. So the safety committee is going to be putting on a live webinar series. So if you're interested in being on it, talk to Brandon, I hope, or designate. Thank you. But if you're interested in being on it, definitely talk with them because, again, it's such an important piece of what we do. And I feel like many of you probably feel as well. Sometimes it's an afterthought for some. Oh, it's easy to go out and do an inspection, or it's easy to go out and do this until you're actually boots on the ground and you're doing it. And it's like, whoa, okay, there's some danger here. Anything to add, Eric?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with that is, again, we want people to be open-minded, right? We know that you have what are your best practices and you want them to apply across the board, or you believe that if you could get this information, it would be good. I mean, the whole point is an open dialogue so we can understand, I would love to have a borrower's name. I'm going to tell you right now that's going to be very difficult from a servicer perspective, right? But what are some other things that we can do? What else can we do? And realize that maybe some of the solutions that we come up with, because some of the things we've talked about, Brandon and I have had conversations about, do we create some type of, for those of you who have been around long enough, I'll bring up a name, Dennis Talbot, and we used to have securing t-shirts, right, for the industry. You were part of the securing team. Some people have said that would be a great idea. Other people have said, hey, I'd like to have some type of demarcation or notation on my car that says this is what I do. Those are things that are being kicked around. Realize that it may not work for your business, but again, is it a best practice that you can take from certain practices? Those work well, other ones don't. But again, we're trying to look at the entire picture and understand it.
And that goes to what we had talked about a little earlier, right? Like NAMFS isn't here to tell you how to run your business, right? we're here to provide, visibility, guidance, things that we're able to pull together with our reach, right, to help you to support your business, right? And those are two very different things. So thank you. Again, to the safety committee, thank you so much, Brandon. Thank you for your leadership, and thank you so much for all your hard work. Very, very important, very tough conversations to be having. It's a big deal, so thank you. Next up, insurance payments and outsourcing. I think Bill, we're going to have to come up with a cool name for that. What do you think? I think so. Okay, I'm going to work on it. I'm not going to chat GPT it either. I'm going to really just brainstorm on it. Okay, but that's led by Bill from Innovative and also our Vice President of NAMFS. And so thank you, Bill, and thank you to that committee for all your work on these very, very important topics. We talk insurance, we talk payments, we talk outsourcing. These are really, really challenging areas. And, more so, I think it's kind of like in the same area as pricing in terms of challenging because there's so many layers. When you're talking about insurance and the different levels involved of insurance, it's not just, your coverage. Well, it's what is my client requiring? What is then their vendor requiring that maybe I'm not working for, but I'm working for their second vendor or something like that. So there's a lot of layers there. Same way with payments and certainly with outsourcing, layers that have no end sometimes, right? And so very challenging things to discuss, but they've been hard at work. So looking at insurance alternatives, seeking new providers to reduce premiums, and then also offer member discounts as a recruitment incentive, right? Like I talked about a little bit ago, our size, one voice, the larger we get, those types of things, that kind of opens those doors, right? We're able to go then to different carriers and say, hey, if I can get you signed up with 200 people, 300 companies, whatever, those conversations become a lot easier to have with them because they're looking at okay, I'm going to get 300 new clients, right? And so just having those conversations, working through, essentially what that'll look like, and then also looking to try to tie that back into our NAMFS Academy, right? So if people go through and get certified through the NAMFS Academy, take the lessons and do an annual certification, is there some type of discount that can be offered to you, our members, for doing that, which is really, really important because if you can save more money by spending a little on NAMFS Academy, save more on the insurance piece, and it's a net savings to you all, that's ultimately that's our goal. So working with those companies to kind of see what those requirements look like, what we need to build into our process as an organization, and see how we can get it done. And then the next thing, you have something to add, Eric?
Well, I was just going to say, the NAMFS Academy is really something, it is a real true resource that I think is kind of undervalued. And I can't tell you how many people who have no membership or affiliation with the association are constantly reaching out and looking at it and then providing feedback that, hey, I got great value out of this. So again, I would encourage everybody to take another look at that. And it is something that we would like to continue to update. So we may be making a plea in the near future for some people to kind of take a look at that and help with a redesign, or not a redesign, but a refresh. And then, as Chad indicated, kind of an annual look at maybe potential refreshers. So be on the lookout for a call for volunteers.
Absolutely. And we appreciate every volunteer for sure. It takes all of us, absolutely. The next thing is preferred vendor program or a NAMFS certified vendor. So I know what many of you probably come across, whether it's an illegitimate offshore, there's some legitimate offshore companies, but an illegitimate offshore company or even an illegitimate onshore company, you think, oh, well, we could just do a blacklist, right? And maybe that's what you do at your company, and that's perfectly fine. However, for NAMFS, when we start getting into kind of blacklisting and things like that, again, it's all volunteer-based. So trying to go through and keep up with that and cultivate it and all that stuff, it creates a pretty significant risk for us. The last thing we would ever want to do is blacklist a company that shouldn't be, and that would be a really bad thing. So what we can do, though, is we can certainly look to NAMFS certify vendors. So part of that is doing the NAMFS Academy, going through a few different pieces. There's a lot of different ideas that we're kicking around and we're talking about on how that will look to align with insurance incentives and all that stuff. But then becoming a NAMFS certified vendor, that's a whole whole different thing. And hopefully, not hopefully, it will be a value add to all of you once we're done with that. So some great work there. And then lastly, formalizing quality standards to enhance industry credibility and improve performance for the necessary price increases. It gets really challenging whenever you're talking about increased pricing, whenever there's a lot of examples of bad actors in the space that don't necessarily do a good job. And maybe they're not even a bad actor per se, right? Maybe they're forced into that. If they're getting paid $6 for a grass cut, your grass ain't getting cut, right? And so, just looking at that and seeing kind of what that looks like and being able to provide and push out that guidance on those standards. Anything to add, Eric?
Go just real quick on that preferred vendor program. I mean, that there are programs out there, or there are associations where you can become preferred by giving us $200 extra. That's not the intent here. The intent is really to try and decide or discern what are the true drivers that we can say this NAMFS member sets themselves apart. They're willing to put the time, energy, and effort to set themselves apart, not just stroke a check or I know X person or I know Y person. So again, it really is something that we feel would be beneficial for the association. And then the more people who are members of NAMFS, not just because you're a member of NAMFS or you naturally preferred, the more that we get, the more it allows us to sing that from the rooftops, right? Hey, our vendors go through this, and we have 95% who have gone through this criteria. So it's a really big opportunity for us to, enhance our name and make our voice a lot louder.
Yeah, absolutely. And that goes back to what I was saying in terms of our number one job as an association is to create value for you, for our members. That is our number one job. And we take it very, very seriously, very seriously. And so again, insurance payments and outsourcing, name to be TBD. My kids would be so proud. TBD. Dad said TBD. Isn't that funny?
Just don't say sus or one of those other words.
Fire lit, yeah. But Bill and group, thank you so much for all your work on that and being instrumental, big critical areas. So with all that, needless to say, we've been busy as an association, going through a little bit of a rebrand, diving into focus areas, and really generating value for you, our members, and keeping that always in focus. We've just been a little busy, Eric. Just a little bit, right? Okay. Been pretty busy.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing to be busy.
It's a great thing. It's a great thing. With all that, though, we've seen results. So staying aligned, right? Engagement impact before and after. If you look at the chart, and I'll be honest with you, folks, PowerPoint all the time drives me insane. You can ask my team. Drives me insane. Looking at charts up on the thing drives me crazy. But this is one we really wanted to show off because it's pretty significant. So we've seen a plus 200% engagement, plus 100% in our reach, and a plus 133% in our growth. That is incredible year over year. That is absolutely incredible. Beyond that, we've seen an increase in our membership, which is awesome. We've seen an increase in our sponsorships, which allow us to create a space for us all to collaborate and advance these initiatives. And we've seen an increase in attendance at our conference this year, the one we're at right now. So I just want to say to everybody, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for engaging and doing all that stuff. Give yourselves a round of applause. It's quite incredible. It truly is. It's an incredible work. And again, like I said, all of us on the board, all of us leading the committees, it's all volunteer work. And so it's really, really incredible. A lot of folks that care a lot about all of us as an industry and as a space. It's pretty special. Eric?
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're not following us on any of the socials, please.
Shameless plug.
Please do. And what I will say to you, again, as someone who looks at it and provides the board with updates and, hey, this month we got X number of views or impressions or, this is happening or that's happening. I mean, all really, really positive things. What I'm starting to see is we're cracking into areas that we hadn't, right? So asset management companies are now following. Some servicer employees, maybe not the servicer company itself, but employees are following. We're getting reposts out of those. We're getting shares. We're getting likes. We're getting whatever it is. But again, it's being seen. So to Chad's point as well, if you can, the more you share, it shares to your network. You never know who's in your network. And again, it just it really spirals, right? So it's the beauty of the algorithm and the ugliness of the algorithm. But in this case, it's a good thing. We're very happy about it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Eric. All right, with that, I shared some information. We talked about structure and we went through all those things. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to open it up to all of you for any questions. Like Eric had indicated at the beginning of the session, I'd like to keep these really specific to what we covered today. We are going to have a Q&A with some of the board tomorrow morning where we'll open it up at large for questions and comments and feedback collection and all that stuff because it's so critical. Hearing from all of you is so incredibly critical. So let's open it up there. All I ask is that we stay professional, we stay courteous, we stay collaborative, positive, optimistic, and all those other things. Thank you. Nikki's got the mic. Ask away.
Raise your hand.
Hi, Marcel with G7. Are we thinking about creating a PAC?
An app? Is that what you said, Marcel?
Political Action Committee.
Political Action
a
Committee.
PAC. Sorry,
Yeah.
I thought you said app.
It's something we've looked at in the past. Monetarily, it's a bit challenging in that regard, but it's something that we can certainly bring back to the forefront, I think.
Thank you.
Great point of feedback. Thank you, Marcel. All right, so before we conclude, I just wanted to say a couple more things, so just bear with me. You have to listen to me for another 3 minutes and 34 seconds. Again, I want to say thank you. Thank you all so much for coming out. Thank you for engaging. Thank you for liking, sharing, for your feedback, critical and otherwise. We absolutely appreciate you and everything that you bring to the table. Thank you to our sponsors for enabling us to have this space together. It's very, very important. And the last thing that I'm going to say, and then Eric might have something or might not, and we'll just go off with a bang. Is that okay? Very good. The last thing I'm going to tell everybody is what NAMFS means. I want to answer the question of what NAMFS means to me. I know we've done a podcast on that, and we've had some great people on there talking about what NAMFS meant to them and all that stuff. But I want you to hear it straight from me and what NAMFS means, and answer that question of what NAMFS means to me. NAMFS is a place that enables, empowers all of us, many of us who are competitors on the day-to-day, to come together and to collaborate as one for the betterment of our industry or our collective industries. And that's really, really important. It's really important that we can all come together from our different businesses, whether you're an owner, a processor, doesn't matter what stage of the chain you fall into. You can come to NAMFS, you can engage with NAMFS, whether it's a conference, whether it's an online forum, whether it's a survey, you can engage with NAMFS, have a voice, be a part of our one voice, and collaborate. And so as we take off over the next day and a half with this conference, my challenge to all of you is to look at find the collaboration, meet new people within the space, listen to them, ask them questions, and then answer their questions, but collaborate. We're all here, like I said, as competitors. A lot of us are competitors, but we're also collaborators. It's our industry, and NAMFS provides that one voice for our collective industries. So thank you all so much. Let's have a lot of fun this week. I'm very excited. Thank you.